I'll take one contender for top 10 worst films of the year to go. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why I watched this. I thought it had potential to be good, but get ready for this. It's not. Easily one of the worst films of the year I saw. I mean, it's only March, so maybe I'll waste my time even more this year, but this movie isn't good. I downright hate this movie. There is so much wrong with it that, honestly, I got to a point where I wanted to stop watching it, but if I stopped watching it, I couldn't write my review of the movie, and therefore all the time I did watch it would be wasted. I don't know what I'm doing with my life, okay? Moving on, in the same week, Disney takes away Netflix's Marvel shows and puts it on Disney+. They also put out Cheaper by the Dozen. They also put out the Cheaper by the Dozen remake. The second remake of the 1950s movie after the first remake of the Steve Martin movie from 2003. And not even 20 years later, now we got a brand new movie doing its take on the concept, which was originally based on a true story or a real family. I'm not familiar with the other movies, and I don't care to watch them, but I'm sure someone would compare and contrast them, sadly. In fact, when I saw Sean Levi credited as a producer, I didn't get why, but it turns out he directed not only Free Guy or the Adam Project, he directed the 2003 movie version of Cheaper by the Dozen, so that leaves me, well, not me, but someone maybe, to wonder, who made this? Well, the movie was originally being made by 20th Century Fox. The studio got bought by Disney. We all know the story by this point. And just like Home Sweet Home Alone, it got reworked. How much, I don't know. To be a Disney Plus movie. To be nice, I guess. There's no reason for this movie to exist. And honestly, if people watch it because they recognize the title, why does it matter? No one's gonna pay for Disney Plus to watch this. I mean, I watched it, not because I recognized the title, because I had an empty slot for a movie I needed to review, and this is what came up. And yes, this was my own choice, and yes, I'm rethinking some of the other choices now after seeing this movie. The movie does come from the writing group of Blackish, and it's a spin-off series. I didn't see the spin-off shows. I stopped watching that show. I only seen like a few episodes. What was my point? Oh yeah. Such as the movie being directed by Gail Lerner, written by Jennifer Rice Genzok, and the multiple Emmy-nominated creator of the show, who also wrote other stuff, Kenya Barris, because they were either asked to or told to work on this movie, which, with this, I think technically Lerner's film debut, but regardless, I don't care. Sure, it does come from a group of talented writers on their projects. Too bad this one is awful. Hell, I don't even know who this movie is made for. I'll get more into this later, but right now I should actually start explaining what the movie's about. In a world that might share the same timeline as Idiocracy, we see the wacky lives of the Baker family. The father, Paul, played by Zack Braff, the mother, Zoey, played by Gabrielle Union, and their 9 kids. I mean, they get another child later on in the movie, more on that later. I think technically in the other movies, the 12 kids are all theirs, and then in this movie, the kids are a combination of each parent's first marriage, this being both their second, which leads to them having kids of their own together. But here there are 9 to 10 kids, because they were struggling for them to have a gimmick for every single kid. You wouldn't forget, there are more than maybe 5 that do something in the story. Now, someone who doesn't know what these movies are about, I have no idea if this repeats the same idea as those movies, but I do know it takes inspiration from every dated sitcom. This movie feels like it was written before 2010, got reworked to be for the 2020s. Whatever. Anyways, back to the story, right? I mean, 2 parents, several children, there are possibilities with a story like this, so, what is the actual plot? Well, Paul and Zoey run a mom-and-pop bakery, but when Zoey's successful ex, a successful football player named Dom, who wants to retire from the NFL to spend more time with his kids, Paul grows jealous and wants to prove himself and his wife he can give them the life they deserve. So he gets a hot sauce he invented to become a popular product, and now he and his family can live the rich life. Unfortunately, gasp, the kids aren't that happy with their new lives, their new rich lifestyles. Like, Deja's new basketball team doesn't give her a chance. Their godson, Haresh, is getting bullied. DJ feels awkward, and Paul's nephew Seth has to live with them when his sister goes to rehab. Rehab for what? I don't know. And yeah, that's it. There are 2 sets of twins, so they're just there to be cute. And then there are Paul's first 2 daughters, Ella and Harley, and there is well, with a chaotic family like this, will they be able to find comfort with, living rich, or will they realize what really matters is family? I hate this movie. this isn't like the worst movie I've ever seen. Like, if I had a gun to my head and I had to choose to live or watch this movie again, I'd probably watch the movie with a gun to my head for, 100 minutes of my life I won't get back. But this movie, it doesn't have one thing that works. Its best quality is being tolerable to a certain degree. So what's wrong with the movie? Oh, what do I choose first? The characters. I mean, it's about a family of 12, but its focus is all over the place. For practically the first act of the movie, we just watched Zack Braff do his best to be funny, and I fast forward after his antic made me cringe so hard, like a stupid dance sequence or going to a business meeting, but thinks since people there dressed, hip, he panics and changes to a suit and puts on something hip because I forgot this movie was written by adults as I sent this sentence. I'll get back to the characters, but I feel like if this was just a kids movie, like if it was written as a Disney Channel movie, I wouldn't even care to watch. But this is made for grown-ups too. Like listening to Paul and Zoey talk about a down payment. Kids love a good conversation about expenses and down payments and terrible product placement. Like the ex-husband bringing his kids to gifts Beats headphones. Listen, product placement movies don't bother me if it's either integral to the story or it's just in the background because this is what the product would actually be used or seen in actual life for. But moments like this, it's unsubtle and there are obvious product placements. I'm sure I'm bold for saying this. That's not even the worst of it. Like, the dialogue is abysmal. Like, I almost feel like the writers were forced to make many of these lines worse by giving kids unrealistic things kids would talk about. Like, Haresh talking to Seth about his new home like if it were a prison, and other family members that walk in is asked, have you been watching Locked Up on MSNBC again? Because every preteen watches MSNBC, let alone Locked Up on MSNBC. They said the kid might have been in juvie. Why can't you just said that, oh, he was trying to talk to him like, how they talk in jail, like, I don't know, it feels like that would have been an actual response that makes sense. Or, when a kid says they're doing a drag race and someone's like, I love RuPaul. They have like 2 dogs that are names of puns of Trump and Biden. The dogs serve no purpose in the movie. I forgot they were there other than for the dog puns. I already forgot. And if I had to look up what they were, I would be required to rewatch the movie. They talk about TikTok, or honestly anything anyone says sounds unrealistic. Like if it were funny, it would be fine, and not one joke works. It's annoying how bad so many of these jokes are, and it felt like a chore to listen to. The story is terrible because you know exactly where it's going, despite taking a while to even get somewhere. But all the things the kids have that are problematic to face, I couldn't care less. Oh no, they have a hard time adjusting to a community of snobby rich people. Poor them. Too bad they can't face them like, normal people. We spend so much time on Paul when I'd rather know the kids more. When certain choices they make are off screen and I can't care because I don't know what they, are going through. Like, Deja is having a rough time on a new team, and I have no idea if she's doing anything about it. She's just complaining. Honestly, the story could work if it maybe focused on Seth and the Bakers are, already rich, and maybe he's adjusting from living without a family, a place where he has to share the same roof with so many other people. But no, let's focus on Paul realizing spending more time with family is more important than dreams of franchising. I'm riveted! The characters are so annoying. I honestly like the ex-president Don more than Paul, since he wants to retire from the NFL to spend more time with his kids. He made his dream come true, and now he can move on. But it's portrayed like I'm supposed to hate the guy, since he's supposed to be absent from his family, and maybe if it were his arc, like at the end of the movie, retire, maybe, but no, he already wants to retire to make an effort, and I don't even know how he's like with his kids, since we spend so much time on Paul and Zoey. Zoey's having a hard time because one of the other rich moms is racist and assumes the worst out of them. Too bad everyone else is nice to her, and it's only this one stereotypical character that gives her a hard time. I feel so bad for Zoey. She's rich now, but other people aren't the nicest to her. Boo-hoo. Too bad she can't just tell this woman off like an adult. And for characters like Harley and Ella, they have no story purpose. Like, they say at the beginning Ella wants to be an influencer, and that never comes into the story. Like, she moves into such a nice house. I feel like that could have played in some part. Or the fact that she has like several siblings. Oh, and Harley is a punk rocker in the band, and she's also in a wheelchair. And I was interested to see what she has in the story. She has nothing. Like, I have no idea how moving affects her dreams or anything. Her entire character is that she's in a wheelchair. And I hate when a movie has characters with a disability and their only characteristic is their disability. Easy example. It's like if Freddy in Shazam, if he, didn't have a fondness of superheroes or a mischievous but caring personality. He's just there to be the kid with crutches because I should care he has to use crutches. Boo! I realize how mean this might sound to someone in real life. You I don't even know, but you get my point! Honestly, there's a scene in the movie that baffles me the most, where they kind of try to talk about racism, which for the people who create and still work on Blackish, it baffles me. They were so poor on talking about it here until one scene later in the movie where Dom talks to Paul about being there for his children, and how he can't share the same experiences, how despite Paul being there for his kids more, he can't prepare them for the world Dom can in other cases, which makes me side with Dom more first off, but secondly, it's an actual well-written and well-acted scene. Nothing phenomenal, but it's a conversation from Casablanca in contrast to the rest of the movie's dialogue, so I have to wonder, why wasn't the movie written better when good writers could have wrote an actual good funny movie? The concept of a family that is massive and living on the wrong roof has been done to death. Modern Family, The Loud House, whatever the show on Disney Channel I saw on Jenny Ortega's IMDb. There is nothing new this movie offers, nothing funny this movie offers, nothing good this movie offers. The acting is fine, I guess. Some are bad, but it's passable. And if there's anything passable about the film, is that the second half of the movie is tolerable. That's it. I don't care that these kids face melodramatic issues that could actually work, yet they're so rich and pampered. I don't care about any of them. And most of these kids, I don't even know what they go through because Paul and Zoey have more screen time, and Paul is so unfunny. It kind of looked like Zack Braff hated being on set in some scenes, barely holding a smile. I hate this movie, and I'll say that 1,000 times again. I have to remind myself this was a waste of time, thought, money, everything. It's bad. I give Cheaper by the Dozen a 1.5 out of 10. How he can't share the same experiences despite how Paul being there for kids more, he can prepare. Sorry for the lighting for the rest of the review. My lighting broke, so here's inconsistency explanation. Moving on.